This is News Today with WDW News Today. I'm Tom Corliss of WDWNT.com. Please like this video, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell to make sure you never miss the latest from the Disney theme parks all around the world. But here now the news for June 9th, 2025. Following the announcement of Disneyland Abu Dhabi, Chairman of Disney Experiences Josh D'Amaro seems poised to take over as CEO of the Walt Disney Company when Bob Iger retires again. Isn't that a Muppet song? Retires again. Oh. In a new article about Hollywood succession politics, The Hollywood Reporter says D'Amaro is in the pole position to take over as CEO. D'Amaro is one of 4 Disney executives long considered the most likely candidates to succeed Iger. With recent success and upcoming expansion for Disney parks, D'Amaro is now the top contender, but the deal, of course, is not sealed yet. D'Amaro joined the Walt Disney Company in 1998, 5 years after he graduated from Georgetown with a business degree, and in his first several years with the company, he took up the positions of VP of Sales and Travel Trade Marketing, Director of Business Planning and Strategy Development, and CFO of Disney Consumer Products Licensing. In 2010, he moved to Disney Parks, now Disney Experiences, as the VP of Adventures by Disney. From 2013 to 2014, he was the VP of Animal Kingdom, overseeing the park's Pandora, the World of Avatar expansion plans. He then moved to Walt Disney World Resort Transportation Operations. He was then the CCO of Walt Disney World for a year before becoming president of Disneyland Park. And after a year and a half, he was bounced back to Florida as president of Walt Disney World. He's held his current position overseeing all of Disney Experiences since 2020, when former Disney Parks chairman Bob Chapek rose to the position of CEO. And what a successful rise that was. Here's what I will say. I've typically been a big Josh D'Amaro fan. I think Josh has a good head for all of this. I think he fits the mold of a typical Disney CEO, which I like. My fear has always been, look, at some point in our lives, a non-Disney person is going to be CEO. And for me, I think that's going to be it for me. But Josh came through this company. He's been in the company for a long time. He seems to get it in most cases, not when it comes to these guys. But in most cases, he seems to get it. There's been, some questionable decisions as to the placement of things in the parks coming up, at least at Walt Disney World, but I don't know if that's more Walt Disney World management than it is him. It's sometimes hard to tell. But nonetheless, there's a lot of money being spent, a lot of money being made. That's all good. I like having a parks person as CEO because that means they're always going to know what's going on at the parks and understand that segment of the business, even when they're busy with other things as CEO. Bob Iger, I think when Iger came in, he understood there was a lot of neglect in the parks. And those early Iger years were really, really great. And I know people like to hate Bob Iger now, and I do get it. There's things that I don't particularly like that he's been at the helm with. But those early years, you cannot deny they fixed Disney California Adventure. The money they spent in Hong Kong, including Mystic Manor, was tremendous. We started to see big investments at Walt Disney World, like New Fantasyland and things along those lines. Pandora being started to be conceived. A lot of money started to flow into Walt Disney World. So for the parks, I think the Iger regime was very good very early. And then, of course, Iger, I think, got distracted by his, final plans, which was the streaming service. And Chapek was kind of left alone to manage the parks. And I don't think Iger was really weighing in on a lot. And that's my consensus. I know people, well, he put him there. And he did. And Bob Chapek in charge of Parks Resorts was a mistake. But it didn't look like a mistake on paper was the problem. Like the parks are such an established thing and such a solid business that it's very hard to make them fail, except if there's a recession or some catastrophic world event in a region. It's very hard for them to fail. The financial success during those Chapek years, a rock could have done it. But nonetheless, I will say, I think for the most part, the projects we've seen have been better. There are still a lot of head-scratching decisions. One we'll talk about in a moment. One I think a lot of you believe in that I don't know how I feel about still. And I totally understand that. But Real quick, I also want to mention Disneyland News Today this week is where you're going to find, they did announce where Avatar is going at DCA, where Coco is going at DCA. That's all on our Disneyland News Today show. We don't talk about Disneyland on this show anymore. So just want to, it kind of fits into the conversation. I want to throw that in there. But Josh is the least of all evils for me. Beyond Dana, not that I have anything against Dana Walden, she just has no park experience. So as a park person, I don't want that. And my fear, again, has been all along that Disney would just decide to bring in someone from the outside, which worked well with Eisner and Wells, but I think we live in such a different time now. The David Zaslavs and those people of the world, that's who's in charge at Warner Brothers, scare me. And watch what's happening to other companies like Warner Brothers, and you're like, man, if someone like that got in at Disney, like, we may never come back from it. So that's why I'm happy if it's Josh, because I think we'd weather the storm. I think, you know, no matter what, given the way the entertainment world has changed, we as fans and longtime fans are going to scratch our heads at things. I think that's just part of how it's going to be now. I think the parks are going to change a lot more than we would like them to in many respects, and that makes me sad, but at the same time, I'm at least glad that, you know, I lived through the real, what is still truly the darkest age, which is not, I won't even reserve that for Bob Chapek. I will tell you, the early 2000s were the actual darkest age of all of this. Like, that was a real bad time when things would get replaced with things that clearly no money had been spent on. So at the very least, there seems to be love and care in the things coming in, if not a love and care for the things they're replacing with them. But let me know how you feel in the comments. The Tangled Restrooms mural in the Magic Kingdom has received its 2025 refresh. I'm glad they do this pretty consistently. The section of the mural on the ground is typically repainted once a year to keep it looking vibrant. The mural in question is purple with yellow suns in the style of Rapunzel's wall paintings in Tangled. The purple paint curves down around the women's restroom entrance and across the nearby pavement. So it's looking nice and neat now. The main lobby of the Hall of Presidents of the Magic Kingdom has officially reopened. The actual show, of course, remains closed following the inauguration of Donald Trump. The Hall of Presidents of Magic Kingdom has been closed since January 20th of this year. This was in anticipation of the renovation of the theater that always takes place when a new president is inaugurated, as the latest animatronic has to be installed and placed closer to the front of the updated show. That being said, will it be a new figure? Will they just not like remake the Trump figure they had before? For those that don't know, the main figure is always a more advanced animatronic. So when they put Trump back, when they put anyone back, it doesn't matter who it's been, it's not the figure that's been in center stage, because you wouldn't put a very expensive figure that can do a lot of motion in the back just to nod and like acknowledge that he's there. So that's part of the holdup, I'm sure, is just that that figure doesn't exist anymore. So you kind of have to do it again. But either way. Yeah, so this would, as we've said before, Trump would likely be the first animatronic move back to the middle of the stage. Disney has not said that he'll have a speaking role. We have no idea. Would they use the same audio? Are they waiting for him to record again? Is that the problem? Because from what I had heard last time, that was a big holdup, was he pushed them off for ages with the recording, and that's why it took so long last time. So I don't know if that's happening again or not, but either way, the attraction itself is not ready just yet, and we don't know a date, and we don't know what's happening. Either way, the lobby has been opened, and I appreciate this decision because it's hot. It's summer in Orlando, and they've given guests another place to sit in air conditioning and cool off, which I think is spectacular. The lobby is decorated with portraits of previous presidents, such as a wall with President James Monroe, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Jimmy Carter. The rest of the lobby space is lined with brown display cases filled with historical memorabilia, including personal items, letters, and photographs of the presidents. A cast member told us that one of the only major changes to the items in the lobby was the addition of this picture, which shows President John Kennedy with his daughter Caroline and her horse Macaroni, known as Mac for short. Originally taken in 1962, it shows Mac standing in the Rose Garden just outside the Oval Office. The props in the remaining cases are unchanged from the last major refurb of the space, though everything has been cleaned and the furniture has been touched up. While the Hall of Presidents lobby is mostly focused on presidents, as you'd expect, There are also nods to Walt Disney and his connection to American history, and of course, Walt's connection to this attraction. When the Magic Kingdom was being planned, Walt really wanted to have a show with every president ever, a step up from his great Moments with Mr. Lincoln attraction at Disneyland Park. He also wanted it at Disneyland at one point too. He wanted it for many, many years, and Roy made it happen. However, rumors are suggesting that the lobby of the Hall of Presidents is being opened because the new show is nearly ready. Reopening in June would make the turnaround time approximately 5 months, which is significantly shorter than last time, which was 11 months, but it only took 6 months for the Biden update. So we're in that zone. 4th of July weekend would be a really good time to open the Hall of Presidents. That's happened before, so maybe it's going to happen then. Crews have completed the cobblestone work in the exit queue of the Haunted Mansion at Magic Kingdom. Work has now moved to the front of the attraction's entrance. The gray curved cobblestones in front of the standby lightning lane and exit queue archways of the Haunted Mansion have been removed since our last update, and in their place are temporary black boards. For comparison, here's a picture of the entrance from a few weeks ago. The curved cobblestones ran between the red pavement and the red bricks in the entrance archways, and some of the red brick trim has been replaced in the exit queue. All the dark gray cobblestones are freshly placed. The cobblestones continue along the edge of the courtyard before fanning out behind the hearse, and the gray-brown pavement was not replaced during this refurbishment. All the cobblestone behind the hearse was replaced as well, and there are no more temporary boards in the exit queue. The black stones between columns and walls of the exit were also replaced, although the matching stones further into the exit were not. The Astro Orbiter at Magic Kingdom appears to have been completely reconstructed following its extensive refurbishment. After closing in January, the Astro Orbiter was dismantled and removed from Tomorrowland for refurbishment work off-site, in fact, back at Central Shops behind the park. In the past few weeks, elements of the ride have returned, including the decorative planets. During the ride's reconstruction, there was a large crane in Tomorrowland surrounded by construction walls. The crane and walls are gone as of Friday, June 6th, indicating no more elements have to be lifted onto the platform. The ride has not yet reopened, of course. There are probably still final touches and tests to be done before it does so, but it is scheduled to reopen this summer. The calendar for the Astro Orbiter listed as closed through at least August 5th. The biggest design change at the attraction is the painting of the elevator shaft to gray. It used to be red. The gray blends in with the surrounding Tomorrowland architecture more, which may be the reason for the change. Although I will say that was a repainting several years ago that matched, there were reds and such added to the surrounding area. So I don't know if I agree with that statement one of our writers made, but I think it looks better, but it also was painted at the same time as a lot of those colors were introduced to the palette across that area. All the planets look the same as they did before removal, although, of course, they look better. They look like they've been fixed up. A bit of a mystery is the state of the ride's rocket vehicles. They have not been visible during the reinstallation process, but we assume that they're there and ready to go. Because, again, you would need to lift them up. They don't fit in the elevator. You can't just take them up in the elevator. Or maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. Still, we expect the vehicles and the ride experience in general to not be different when the attraction does reopen. We'll let you know once we know when that's going to be. The cool ship has become cool dirt. What a terrible, terrible statement. In Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom. With the kiosk removed, crews have torn up most of the pavement in the area. When we checked on the construction a week ago, only a circle of pavement was gone from where the kiosk had been, but now almost all the pavement behind construction walls has been removed. Shrubbery is also gone from one of the built-in planters, and with the recent rain, the dirt where the pavement used to be is a little bit muddy. There's a circular divot in the dirt, which is approximately where the kiosk was. We didn't see any crew members or construction vehicles on the site on Friday morning. But the cool ship closed in late May, and the kiosk as well as the attached cool scanner were quickly dismantled and removed. According to the Disney World website, the cool ship is temporarily closed for refurbishment and is expected to reopen later this year. We don't know if the kiosk will return with the same look, if it will be redesigned. Is the spaceship coming back? Is the scanner coming back? I hope it is, but we'll have to wait and see. This program is brought to you by our official travel agent sponsor, Be Our Guest Vacations. Your dream vacation begins with Be Our Guests and their concierge team of expert vacation planners. Head on over to beourguestvacations.com/WDWNT, and their team will design your next magical vacation, from the Walt Disney World and Disneyland resorts to Disney Cruise Line to Adventures by Disney and more. The best part is their concierge services are 100% free. So book today. A new breakfast treat has debuted at Westward Ho at the Magic Kingdom, the Mickey-shaped Bacon-Pecan-Caramel Cinnamon Roll. It's $8.49. We ventured forth to Frontierland to give it a try. Westward Ho, of course, located in Frontierland, across from the Country Bear Musical Jamboree. The new item is only for breakfast from park open until 11 a.m. If you want to read the review of the item, it's on our website at WDWNT.com. After a run of extended evening hours at EPCOT and Animal Kingdom, the resort guest perk will return to the Magic Kingdom in August. In June, extended evening hours are available at Magic Kingdom on Wednesdays from 10 p.m. to midnight and at EPCOT from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Mondays. Magic Kingdom will take a break in July, and the benefit will be available at EPCOT and Animal Kingdom. Extended evening hours will then resume at Magic Kingdom on Wednesday, August 13th. Further dates have not yet been released. The full schedule of upcoming extended evening hours is available on our website. This is a complimentary after-hours event for guests staying at Disney Deluxe Resorts, Deluxe Villa Resorts, and other select hotels. The Rose and Crown Pub at EPCOT is serving draft beer and cider again after nearly 2 months. Since late March, the UK Pavilion Pub could only offer canned beer and cider. This was due to the Rose and Crown Pub building a new keg system, which was a construction project that lasted, again, nearly 2 months. To accommodate the limited beverage availability, a bar kiosk opened outside the pub to serve draft beer, but now, once again, you can go inside and get your draft on. So I know Eric Morton's very excited. Geo 82 opened at EPCOT on June 4th. Unfortunately, opened without the sale of the Souvenir glasses that everyone was very excited about for EPCOT. We saw the Souvenir glassware during a preview. According to cast members, Disney did not order enough to be able to sell them yet. I don't know if did they not order enough or did enough not arrive? Either way, that wasn't happening. So what was happening was the wine glass was out on those opening days. On the display case, it wasn't for sale, but what they did was all guests who came got one, which was a very, very sweet bit of guest recovery to do. And in fact, we just went to the dessert party last night, and they're not doing the wine glass anymore, but we were given the rocks glass last night. But the Luigi Bormioli glassware is created with traditional Italian craftsmanship and new age glassmaking technology, featuring high quality lead-free crystal. When we spoke to a manager at Geo 82, we were told the supply chain problems were the cause of the delay. That's what actually happened. They hope to have the glasses for sale sometime this summer. Each glass will be $35. Again, Geo 82 opened on June 4th. We do have a review of the regular offerings right here on the channel. We are currently editing the dessert party review for you. You can read the dessert party review already at WDWNT.com. I don't know if Jason had a good time or not. I know that was only the second night. I will tell you, we went last night and I was blown away. At the media preview, the food and drink were unbelievable. Opening day, we had a great experience. Everyone, cast-wise, they did a tremendous job. There were some hiccups seating-wise, and the lighting, in case you hadn't heard, there was a big problem with the lighting where about 10 minutes into Luminous, the lights came on and they couldn't fix it, and that happened for a couple nights, I think. It's fixed now. So there were some hiccups first night, and I will say, like food-wise, I was a little disappointed. Things didn't taste as good as they did at the media thing that opening night. Drinks were all still the same level of fantastic, though. But last night, I think they've had a couple days to work things out. Everything we had at the dessert party was insanely good. The food was incredible. Rosanna, I had not seen anyone talk about the vegan options. They gave her a whole vegan tower and a vegan dessert plate, and which I thought most of that was even better than what we were eating off of the regular tower of food. It was a really fantastic experience, really high quality alcohol offerings. I love it. I know people are mad about this 21 plus thing. I'm sorry. I don't agree. I mean, the idea of Disney parks is a place where the families, the kids and the parents could have fun together. Walt Disney sat on a bench and watched his kids on the carousel and thought there should be a place where the kids and the parents could have fun together. But that can't be true of every single venue, right? Playgrounds say they're intended for this age to this age, right? The parents don't go down the slides with the kids all the time and all of those sorts of things. So if that's the case, if there are spaces too small for an adult to go through with their child, they're not experiencing that with them either. So a lounge, like, I don't know, does the kid feel they're missing out, or is it just mom and dad feel they're missing out because they have children and can't go to the lounge? Not to be that guy, but look, with the size and scope of Walt Disney World, in particular Walt Disney World, I just don't think that's feasible. I think, yes, there's going to be 3 or 4 places on property that maybe are only really for kids, or they're only really for adults, and it's not anything that the kids feel they're missing out on, or I maybe feel like I'm missing out not going in the playgrounds, but that's because I'm a big idiot, and I love stupid things like that. But really and truly, I don't think either side is missing out on anything. Also, it's not the Magic Kingdom. It's not Disneyland. Like, I very much, the Beacon Barrel pub, or Beacon Barrel, whatever they're calling it, that's going to open at Pirates of the Caribbean will be for the entire family. That's the Magic Kingdom. I understand that. I am more opposed to alcohol being served in that park, not at a sit-down, but at something that's not a sit-down restaurant. That's kind of the thing that's rubbing me the wrong way, but hate to be that guy, but that's how I feel about that. But as far as Epcot's had alcohol since day one. When it was going to be a city with an international street area, there was certainly in that concept art a pub. You know, like, I think Walt saw what Disneyland was missing, right? And let's not forget, Walt was the one who wanted a Club 33, a space that was in the park that even you and I weren't meant to go to. It was meant to for his corporate sponsors and those he wanted to woo at the park. So he was doing it. So I think we stick to that a little too much. But in the end, if the Disney parks in total are a place where the family and the kids and the parents can have fun together, then it still lives up to that. I don't think these little moments are the problem. Serving, you know, alcohol outside of a sit-down restaurant at Magic Kingdom, I might disagree there. That might be where I take issue. But yeah. Also introduced on June 4th at Epcot was a new Spaceship Earth Mickey Balloon popcorn bucket. Yeah, the bucket can be found at the popcorn carts in Epcot. There's a purchase limit of 2 per person per transaction. The bucket was revealed shortly before the park opened on Wednesday. It's shaped like the same previous Mickey Balloon popcorn buckets, but with a texture of Spaceship Earth. It also lights up, which is really, really cool. The opening for popcorn is on the back of the balloon, marked by the Epcot word mark in blue. The opening slides out for you to pour popcorn inside, and the carry strap attached to the ears is attached to the ears of the balloon. It's mostly blue with imagery of Walt Disney World's monorail going by Spaceship Earth, fireworks, and the Epcot word mark. In addition, the popcorn bucket again also lights up in a total of 6 colors of red, blue, red, light blue, dark blue, purple, blue, and green. There are 2 settings to choose from with the lights, either a slow glow or a blinking option. The battery panel can be found on the bottom of the bucket along with the on-off switch. The bucket retails for $26. This program is brought to you by Unlocked Magic. You can get your Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando tickets for the lowest price available. Join the hundreds of 5-star reviews and thousands of families that they've been able to help save with over $10 million in ticket sales alone. Find them at unlockedmagic.com/WDWNT to help you save money on your next trip to the Orlando theme parks. Walt Disney Imagineering has shared photos of the new marquee at the entrance of Test Track, which was installed a week ago but not unveiled until recently. A marquee moment indeed, Walt Disney Imagineering wrote on Instagram. Installation of the marquee of Test Track presented by General Motors has begun. The design echoes the attraction's architecture while incorporating the new logo in illuminated letters that will look amazing both day and night. I will tell you that this is actually, in some ways, this is an homage to the old World of Motion marquee. Just the colors, the way it's set up. Obviously, the World of Motion marquee was nice and wide, but there are little elements in this that definitely echo that. And Disney has told us there will be nods to World of Motion, and the new version is heavily inspired by World of Motion, supposedly. We'll wait and see if that's true. But nonetheless, the sign is installed, it's there, and it looks pretty good. Following the final performance of MuppetVision 3D on June 7th, the entire left section of Grand Avenue has now been blocked off by rolling planters, and the area has been removed from all Disney's Hollywood Studios park maps. As previously announced, both MuppetVision 3D and Pizza Rizzo officially closed at Hollywood Studios over the weekend. The whole area is set to become Monstropolis from Monsters Incorporated, with a still unannounced show taking over the MuppetVision 3D theater and a new suspended door roller coaster being built in the area behind Grand Avenue. As of June 8th, the whole area to the left side of the guest walkway is now blocked by those planters. The planters run directly across the brick-covered path that led to the Muppets courtyard, keeping guests from getting any closer to the building. A cast member was stationed by the planters to keep guests from trying to go around them, and some green trash cans have also been staged in the walkway. We expect in the near future that these temporary planters will be replaced with taller construction walls. Of course, cast members are still going to be the last to experience the attraction. That hasn't happened yet. Is that today or tomorrow? I forget. I think it's tomorrow, and on the 10th. So I imagine they won't put walls up when they need to get cast members in there for their farewell. So maybe after the 10th, we'll see construction walls happening. back in this area. So I just want to talk about this weekend. This was a truly magical weekend. We, of course, had our event, a glorious 3-day finale. We had a tremendous time with over 120 people in this room for News Tonight on Thursday. Friday, we moved to the Embassy Suites, and thankfully we did, because over 300 of you showed up to be a part of that event. The panels were, there's so many moments that I will never forget the rest of my life. Getting to see Bean Bunny's actual arm with the bubbles, that was insane. For Steve Whitmire to be there, for the surprise appearance of Heather Henson, Jim's daughter, to be there. And our Imagineering friends, our friends from the Henson side, sharing the most incredible stories, never before seen art. What a day, what an incredible day. And at the end, everyone got to meet them, which was just insane. But then we took all of our special guests to the park. So if you've probably seen social media of Steve Whitmire and Heather Henson. Heather got to be the final guest, in fact, at MuppetVision, which warms my heart. I know I came on this show after the final show of It's Tough to Be a Bug and told you that it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in a park. Not necessarily just because, not really Disney's fault, more the guest's fault. I was so disappointed in the fans that night, the way they handled that. And this Saturday was the opposite. First of all, Hollywood Studios operations killed it. One of the managers told us they'd been working on it for over a month, their plan for that day, and it showed. Everything was perfect. They did wristbands in the morning to make sure there wasn't craziness at the end of the day. People who didn't get the wristband all stood outside and cheered and got to see Heather go in as the last guest, and they sang Rainbow Connection outside. Those of us in the last show, like, they ran half the pre-show, and then we didn't run half the pre-show. They ran the full pre-show, but if you've ever been to MuppetVision, you know, you don't always get to see the whole pre-show. It depends when you're loaded in. And so we all loaded in. A lot of us had missed most of the pre-show. No one even asked. Disney just decided to run the pre-show again so we could see the whole thing full one last time. But an incredible day. I met so many amazing people. I know, it's just the most positive and loving atmosphere I've ever seen in a park. It was the most amazing closing I've ever been to. I will tell you, great movie ride, my favorite attraction of all time. The crowds that showed up for MuppetVision were tenfold. Even midday, the crowds for MuppetVision were so much greater than they were for the movie ride at the end of the day or any other attraction closing I've ever been to. So it is clear that this is one of the most beloved attractions of all time. So many people made a point. I can't even tell you how many people told me they flew in for 24 hours to be there for the last day. So many people, over a dozen at least, told me. So I can't imagine how many more, excuse me, how many more did that and didn't say anything to me or didn't know me. So just the most incredible day. I will say the atmosphere in that theater throughout the day was spectacular. And especially towards the end of the night, people quote, and I know I said It's Tough to Be a Bug, the quoting and yelling and everything really ruined it. It really felt like the opposite with Muppets. People were way more respectful. There was less catcalling and interrupting and more just very loving, like, hey Bear, you're not even funny in 3D, and everyone in unison and actually on time with the line, which was great. Clapping along to the final number. It was amazing. And then we got to the final show, and the final show starts happening. And I don't know what happened in the final show. I don't know if it's because everybody felt the need to film and people weren't living in the moment, or it just set in that it's leaving us, and this is it, and we're never going to see it again. And I know we all want to hold out hope that we're going to see it again, but there is nothing about Walt Disney World management that, oh, you want to keep your media credential. Well, we'll see if this lets me keep it, because I at no point have pulled punches with you, even since being welcomed back in to the media list. But I will tell you how I feel. You know, there is nothing about Walt Disney World management that makes me certain that such a wonderful thing would happen for us again. Look, I believe they will spend money on the new things coming. I believe those new things will be good at the very least. It's hard to say they'll be great because sometimes you have to catch lightning in a bottle, and Muppets was lightning in a bottle. It was all the right people at the right time, the right moment in Jim Henson's career to produce something that was totally timeless and meant so much to the world. You know, we have talked a million times about the original Journey into Imagination, about Horizons, great movie ride. These indelible attractions that we as fans could never get over the loss of because they were just that great. I think MuppetVision is so far beyond that because it was Jim's final work. I think this would be along the lines of closing Pirates of the Caribbean, which was the last attraction Walt Disney was involved in. This would be along those lines. They're the Muppets. They are world-renowned. I have seen so many posts on social media from people who are not in our circle. Like, these are people, these are just regular people. We're not regular people. We are hardcore Disney Parks fans, and it consumes our lives every day, every moment of it. But regular people, so many regular people, and just so many regular people posting about it. So many, it existed for 34 years. Anyone who's ever been to Disney World seems to remember that it existed. Even if they couldn't tell you the exact name of the show, they knew it existed and what it was and how, and they felt it was a big deal that it was going away. So I think culturally, from a pop culture aspect, this will have such greater ramifications than any attraction lost in the history of Disney parks, more than the People Mover, the movie ride, even and it pains me to say it because Journey to Imagination, that original, is everything to me. But it really, truly feels like this is the biggest deal there's ever been in a theme park attraction closing. I don't think the world can believe this happened. I think we are still in a state of shock about it because it legitimately felt like a thing that should stay there forever, for the historical significance, for the joy it brought people, for what it meant to so many. And if that crowd Saturday and how that day felt did not point that out, I don't know what will. The general feeling of dread in that final show, what had been such a joyful day, I don't know if maybe the weekend had just been so joyful for so many people, they just got such great closure that no one knew how to handle the last show. Like, I expected a standing ovation, and people clapped for like a moment, and then everyone just kind of stood there and looked at each other and looked at the theater and didn't know what to do. It was the weirdest thing. And it didn't match the vibe of the rest of the day. And I just think everyone had this. Rosanna said to me, she's like, I just have a pit in my stomach right now. And it's something, when Great Movie Ride closed, I was sad, but I didn't feel at that moment in time, man, this is one of the biggest mistakes they've ever made. This, from the moment it was announced to now, has just felt like the worst decision imaginable. And look, it could be fixed. It actually could. It's not a ride. It's an easier thing to put into a new venue. Do I think it will be? I don't. And the more I think about the Rock and Roller Coaster thing, the more I don't like that idea. It just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel right. It's like, you know, and someone said it, Rock and Roller Coaster represents a little bit of that 90s edginess Imagineering could have at times with, you know, I don't know, Dinosaur feels like that a little bit too. That original storytelling that maybe is a little more adult, a little edgy, a little more for the tween audience and above. And I mean, it's a thrill ride, so it makes sense. Tower of Terror fits in that realm too. And so to lose that and put the Muppets in there, the Muppets just have such heart and joy, and it doesn't match Rock and Roller Coaster. And it's not a fair trade either. I'm sorry, like, look, for all the joy there was this weekend, I'm so glad we got to bring Heather to the park, and that manifested itself in her being the final guest. That is the right thing that needed to happen. None of us needed to be the last guest, but Jim Henson's blood being the last guest in the last work of his career, I cannot tell you how happy that makes me. I could not have wished for a better outcome for Saturday. Really could not. But I just think this is the biggest mistake they've ever made. I know people are going to come in the comments and rant and rave about the rivers of America. I'm sorry. A photocopy of a thing from another park doesn't match that for me. And I know it's going to make people upset. I don't care. They're not on the same level. Objectively, they're just not on the same level. They're not. Pirates of the Caribbean, like that being Walt's final work in the parks. you know? And in some cases, like what they've done to EPCOT is along the same lines, because that was his last dream. So some of the things they've done to EPCOT feel like what's happening to MuppetVision, where you've desecrated something that felt as a fan very holy to us and holy to the company. And MuppetVision felt like that thing. It's hard to find the words. It's been hard to find the words for days. And I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Disney that this was the decision and this was what they chose to do. When the coaster isn't even the thing replacing this. You know, maybe a part of me would be like, I'd still be in a lot of pain and I'd still feel bad about this, but I don't know. I think it's the fact that they're not even willing to tell us what's going in there. And the fact that we know, like, look, this is not a knock on the creative people working on whatever's in there. I just don't believe, even if they were the most talented people in the world, and they might be, the most talented people in the world could work for years endlessly with an endless budget to replace MuppetVision. And the odds of catching lightning in a bottle again in that space are just astronomical, and it has nothing to do with the level of talent or creativity of the people involved. It's just all the right circumstances and things have to fall into place. And I can't imagine in my lifetime, there will not be a permanent replacement in that building. And I promise you that. I promise you, there is no way on earth anyone's gonna capture that magic in that building again. And it's not for lack of trying, and it's not for lack of talent. It's just not possible. It's just really, really hard. It's near impossible to do that again. And once it's gone, it's gone. And now, it's gone. So it's such a shame. It just feels so wrong. It feels, you know, after Runaway Railway opened, I had a moment where I was like really upset about losing Movie Ride. I gave them the benefit, and that ride opened, I just didn't feel it. I know it's cute. I'm not saying it's not cute. I'm not saying no one tried with Runaway Railway, but to be in that space doesn't feel right. But man, if that didn't feel right, I don't even know what I'm gonna feel the day we walk into Monstropolis. I just think from the moment I step into that land, I'm gonna be disgusted. No matter how hard anyone tries, I can't imagine it feeling right if you've been there before. And look, I understand the movement of time. I understand that there will be generations of people who will fall in love with that Monsters, Inc. door coaster. It'll be super fun as a family. It'll be a lot of kids' first coasters, if not their first suspended coaster at least. And that's gonna create some fantastic memories for sure. But I will tell you, over the goodbye of MuppetVision, I've seen so many families take their kids for the first time. We get sat next to guests with kids who'd never seen the show before. And you watch them light up and you sit there and you realize, this is 34 years old. They wrote this 34 years ago. And talking to the people that made it, they could never have imagined it would last 34 years. And look, there's a part of me that my heart is so full that they never thought it would last so long. And knowing how strongly they feel, the wonderment they feel that it lasted 34 years and got to entertain so many millions of people in that time. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But it's just so clear the last couple of months watching people who had never seen it in that show light up seeing it. And it leads you to believe that Disney just needed to do a better job getting people back there. They thought Grand Avenue and building that gate and all those things they did were gonna be the answer. And I think they did a piss poor job. I'll be honest with you. I think that marquee was terrible. I think that gateway didn't entice people to turn that corner. I think Grand Avenue, for me, Grand Avenue is still one of the worst projects I have seen in my entire park going life. I hate that area. It makes me feel nothing. It's soulless. You know, modern day LA is not a pleasant place to visit in a theme park setting. It just doesn't, it has no magic. It has no wonder to it. It just was blah. And I think that did no benefit to MuppetVision. I'm going to put the onus on them. I'm sorry. I think there could have been a million. Imagineers can do anything. And they could have got people back there, and there could have been other solutions. I'm sure there was an e-ticket that could have gone back there that could have left the Muppets, and it just could have been, Muppets could have been on the way to whatever e-ticket was back there. So I don't completely understand this project. I also think the two could have lived side by side. I think you could have just started Monstropolis behind Muppets, but I don't know. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know. It just feels very wrong. And I think, I truly believe, it feels to me that this is the one that even regular guests are going to know about and remember. And every time people go to Hollywood Studios, you're going to hear people talking about it. And not just you and me, not the regulars. I think average folks who aren't theme park fans are going to go there and be like, oh, they got rid of that. Oh, we saw that new thing. Yeah, it wasn't as good, but whatever. I think that it's going to be decades before we are over the loss of MuppetVision. That's my belief. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. I just don't think I am. Anyway, that's what I have to say. I'm sure you all have a lot to respond with, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you down in the comments about it. Walt Disney World revealed a slew of new menu items for Disney's Animal Kingdom, including a new Satuli combination bowl and cold brew flight, a baked mac and cheese, actually several baked mac and cheese dishes at the Smiling Crocodile, new desserts, and more. The one returning item announced on Instagram was the strawberry shortcake ice cream sandwich at Dino Bite Stacks. You get the pulled pork sliders at 8 Spoon Cafe. At the Smiling Crocodile, there's a new baked macaroni and cheese with garlic smoked sausage or the baked macaroni and cheese with buffalo chicken. New dessert items include the mango vanilla mousse at Harambe Market. At Pizza Safari is the new chocolate swirl cheesecake and chicken caprese baguette sandwich. In another Instagram post, Disney revealed the key lime pie pop at Flame Tree Barbecue. And new at Restaurantosaurus are the strawberry and vanilla shake and paleontology lemonade with a glow cube. The new combination bowl at Satuli Canteen is chimichurri beef and chili garlic shrimp. There are also 3 new specialty coffees available individually or as a flight. For all the details on these items and their pricing, please visit our website. When visiting Disney's Blizzard Beach water park, we noticed that there are no posted weight limits for any attraction at the water park, despite a recent lawsuit involving a guest over the weight limit being injured on the downhill Double Dipper. According to local Orlando News 6 WKMG, Eugene Strickland filed a lawsuit against Disney for dangerous conditions at Disney's Blizzard Beach during his visit in July of 2021. He chose to ride downhill Double Dipper despite exceeding the slide's posted weight limit, is what they said. He weighed 334 pounds around the time, while the slide has a weight limit of 300 pounds. According to the lawsuit, Strickland became momentarily airborne as a result of the slide, and his inner tube became dislodged, and as a result, he landed on the surface of the slide and now suffers from permanent catastrophic injuries, which were not disclosed. After initially looking into posted weight limits online, we found several instances where panelists of Plan Disney stated that the only attraction at either of the water parks with a weight limit was the chairlift at Blizzard Beach, which is capped at 375 pounds. It could hold up to 3 guests per lift. However, the webpage on the Walt Disney World website for the chairlift does not mention any weight limit. At the front of the park, posted signage details the rules that guests must follow, which include but are not limited to various safety precautions like ages for unaccompanied guests, rules against smoking and vaping in the parks, and prohibited items. Guests are directed to disneyworld.com/rules for a complete list of rules to visit guest services. Nowhere on the sign is any mention of a weight limit for select slides or attractions. On the Disney Water Parks map, yellow triangles are used as a designation for attractions with physical considerations, but only list height requirements. The same can be said of the in-park map signage, which includes the physical designation yellow triangle, but no mention of a weight limit for any attraction. When we went to check the safety signage for the downhill Double Dipper, the sign details that guests should be in good health and free from heart conditions, back or neck problems, or other conditions that could be aggravated by the slide, as well as deterred those who are not at the height requirement of 48 inches or 122 centimeters. The aforementioned posted weight limit of 300 pounds is nowhere to be seen. Moving uphill to the entrance and tube pickup for the downhill Double Dipper, the sign here is the same as the one at the bottom of the slide with no mention of a weight limit. Meanwhile, at the chairlift, the one attraction that has a weight limit according to Plan Disney, signage only designates the minimum height requirement of 32 inches and the maximum of 3 riders per chair. The 375-pound weight limit is not disclosed. When checking all of their safety signage in the park, we could not find any guest-facing mention of a weight limit for any attraction or slide. So I imagine Disney Legal, you got a problem on your hands because that's not mentioned anywhere. Yeah, so I know people are being pretty mean to this person, and look, I understand, especially in other cultures, it's fun to make fun of Americans. We're overweight, I know, and I myself am very overweight. I understand. I've battled that my entire life, and I live with that every day. And trust me, if I more easily could not be, I wouldn't be. I would very much like to be healthier, and I try my best, which is hard when you live in a theme park environment every day of the year. But I will say this, like, look, we all have our battles, and for some of us it's weight, and this person is entitled to have a good day at a park within the realm of safety. Obviously, when I go to Japan, there are plenty of roller coasters, which it's not the real safety regulation, right? I've ridden the same ride systems in a million places around the world, fit comfortably, perfectly fine. There are places in Japan where they further restrict that even though the manufacturer does not need it to be that tight. And I've been turned away from several attractions in Japan, not at Tokyo Disney, but at other places in Japan. And I will tell you, like, it's very disheartening. But either way, I always do the test seat. I always do all that stuff just to make sure. And if there's no test seat and there's no posted sign or anything, I think everyone should be able to assume that it will be okay. Now, I'm not saying, look, I don't know the situation. I don't know that this actually happened to this person. They actually got hurt or whatever. That's for this trial or this case to decide, this lawsuit to decide, I should say. Yeah, but I don't think we need to make fun of someone for riding an attraction that there was no signage telling them they could not. I think that's a bit much. I think in general, I will say this of this community from day one, I think a little kindness would go a long way. I think we're so willing to jump down people's throats the minute anything is said, and anybody, I've seen it with the people who do the quote unquote fat testing on social media. I've seen a lot of people shame them. And look, you don't know what those people have been through. You don't know what their battle is, and you certainly have your own. It may not be a weight thing, but I guarantee you there's some challenge in your life, some addiction or some problem medically or something you have that affects your life in a way similarly, but also different. Be kind to other people. Every post doesn't need a snotty comment from you. It doesn't add anything to the world. It doesn't make you better than anybody else. So maybe just leave it be. You could think that to yourself. That's fine. Doesn't hurt anybody. But keep those dark, evil thoughts to yourself maybe in such a situation. It doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. So, move on with your day. BouTiki at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort is undergoing a refurbishment this month. The maintenance project began on Monday, June 2nd, and is expected to be completed by the end of June. During the refurbishment, half of the store will be closed, but the other half will be open. Disney said that maintenance may be seen and heard in the area during the work period. BouTiki, of course, is a gift shop on the first floor of the Great Ceremonial House, the lobby building of Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, which went through a major refurbishment just back in 2021, but now they're working on the inside. In 2023, the lobby received new rugs and seating upholstery. In early 2024, new carpeting was installed on the stairs, and so they just, very slowly, they're rolling through the whole building. We'll end up seeing what happens to BouTiki. I'm very hopeful they're not removing some of the theme from BouTiki. That would make me very sad. That's one of my favorite stores in all of Walt Disney World. It's just so cute. And this is where, of course, it's where you might find Olu Mel shirts. That's where this shirt came from. According to the Walt Disney World website, the Bellevue Lounge will be temporarily closed for a brief refurbishment later this month. The Bellevue Lounge is a small area located inside Disney's BoardWalk Inn, just off the side of the main lobby building. According to the update on the Disney World website, the lounge is now scheduled to be closed from June 9th to June 11th. The lounge is typically open from 4 p.m. to midnight each day, but again, just for the next couple days, it will not be operating. Did you know there's a way you could save big at Disney Deluxe Resorts? Well, today's show is brought to you by DVC Rental Store, a great way for you to plan a luxury Disney vacation on a modest budget. You don't need to sign up for a full DVC contract, but instead, they'll allow you to rent the points you need for a magical stay. It really is the best way to stay deluxe at a fraction of the cost, and now, thanks to their lowest price guaranteed offer, you'll always have the best price on the market. The rooms are discounted up to 75%, and they have the largest member inventory for points, so there's lots to choose from. You could search their availability for free right now, which is not something all companies offer. And if you do choose to book, they have a great cancellation policy and a low down payment. DVC Rental Store is the #1 DVC rental company in the United States, one we've used many times over, so head to the description to check them out. Michael Moriarty, the managing director of Hong Kong Disneyland Resort, has shared new images of the first ever parade float themed specifically to Duffy and Friends. The images were first shared by Moriarty on his official Instagram account, along with the caption, "Party Mode On." Duffy and Friends will make history at Hong Kong Disneyland with their first ever themed parade float on our 20th anniversary. Make sure to join them at the Friendtastic Parade and celebrate the most magical party of all. The preview of the Duffy float was first revealed as concept art for the new Friendtastic Parade, which will be the largest ever in scale at Hong Kong Disneyland. The parade is expected to last around 30 minutes and include 11 floats, about 100 performers, and over 30 Disney characters. Other floats already revealed include Baymax and characters from Big Hero 6, Encanto, Zootopia, and more. Duffy and Friends are seen standing on a green floral-filled float with an upper level made to look like a treehouse. The post included both a wider shot of the whole float and closer images of Duffy and his friends. Joining the bear on the float will be Shelly May, Lena Belle, Stella Lou, Gelatoni, and Cookie Ann. The concept art also included Olu Mel, though he may just be placed on the opposite side of these pictures. I also noticed Tippy Blue, the seagull. He's there too. Duffy, in his real backstory, Duffy is from Cape Cod at Tokyo Disney Sea. He's from that port. But anytime, I've seen a lot in Hong Kong, specifically, I believe, the treehouse. I think they live in the treehouse at Hong Kong Disneyland. So I think that's what this is. Of course, Hong Kong Disneyland is celebrating the most magical party of all, 20th anniversary, with several new and updated entertainment offerings, not just the parade. The nighttime show Momentous will receive a special 20th anniversary edition with drones, while the Castle of Magical Dreams will be home to a new stage show called Disney Friends Live, Party at the Castle. The 20th anniversary celebrations are set to begin on June 28, 2025. Eric and I will be there. It's Eric's first trip to Hong Kong Disneyland. We're going to ride Mystic Manor a lot. It's going to be a good time. But join us. We're going to have the parade, all the shows, everything filmed for you. We're going to do some vlogging. It should be a lot of fun. Tokyo Disney Resort released updated Country Bear Vacation Jamboree plush badges and some new shoulder plush inspired by Peter Pan characters, Frozen, Snowgies, and more recently. The Country Bear Vacation Jamboree is the summer overlay of the show. The new items include a Henry and Sammy plush badge. It's 2,400 yen. They've made these before. These are a little different. He has the guitar now. They also made the sunbonnets in their bikinis, where they, of course, sing my favorite number in the entire song, which is California Bears instead of California Girls. I love this show so much. You can watch the vacation show here on our channel. It is magnificent. It's my favorite. For those other items and their pricing, please visit our website. We're always keeping up with all the Japan stuff on our website. There's not always time here on the show to do so, but you know me and my Country Bears, I had to get that in. For the absolute latest on these stories and all that didn't make it into today's show, and there was a lot, be sure to check WDWNT.com and follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. You can support the entire team behind the show and others by joining the WDWNT Interglobe Society at patreon.com/WDWNT. Get access to exclusive content, discounted show and event tickets, and more. Special shout out to our WIGS members watching who make this show happen every week. For the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is Tom Corliss saying, enjoy the rest of your today and have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.